Greetings students. Today we will be discussing the concept of clauses in grammar. The concept of clause is a very simple concept that just means the simplest form of a sentence is called a clause. Now, if you see the question, we see two clauses, sentence 1 and sentence 2. So each sentence is a clause. Okay, so the in simple words, a sentence that has a single clause is called a clause. Okay, a simple sentence is called a clause. It's called a simple sentence in simple words, and a sentence that has more than one clause will be called a compound or a complex sentence. Now, if you look at the sentence, the children watched a TV program, one sentence one, and their mother made tea is the second sentence. Now, a clause has primarily three main features. First is, if you look at the question, the sentence, it says the children in the first sentence, their mother in the second sentence. So it has a subject. The person being referred to or the thing being referred to will be the subject. So the first condition of a clause is it has to have a subject. Second case, it shows the action being done by the subject. Therefore, in the first case it is watched, in the second sentence it is made. Then you have the object. What is the object? The object is what has been said about the subject. So we see watching what? A TV program. Preparing what? Their tea. So if you see, it is a very simple pattern of a simple sentence: subject, verb, and object. Now let us delve deep into the details of the clause components and the different patterns that exist for a sentence to qualify as a clause. Okay, first is the subject. Subject, the verb, the object, the complement, and the adverbial. In the first combination, we see subject plus verb. Here, the object is not required because the subject and verb itself refer to an object. If like the birds sing, okay, the birds is a subject, and sing also acts as the verb and as the object. A very large and ugly chicken is acting as the subject, describing an object, was squawking. Okay, as it is a verb and acting as an object. This is very common type of sentence. Okay, the second one is the subject plus verb plus object. This is the frequently used type of sentence we use in everyday life. We have the subject. In this sentence it is Mary, writes is the verb, and books. So what does Mary do? Mary writes books. Okay, Mary writes books. Mary is the subject, action is writes, and books is the object that speaks about the subject. Second combination is subject plus verb plus complement. Now, if you see over here, the complement modifies a subject and not the object. Okay, so therefore here object is totally missing because an object is not required. A complement will modify only a subject. Mary is a writer. So when I say, if I ask the question, what is Mary? Mary is equal to a writer. Okay, now we have the fourth combination, the third combination, subject plus verb plus object plus complement. Here we see the combination of the second type and the third type. Okay, the first and second and third type, and we see the fourth one combining both of them together to form a sentence. The company, subject, verb, made, him, the object. The company, okay, the object. The company made who? Him, the object. Okay, CEO. So if I ask the question, what did the company make him? It will be a CEO. So the company is the complement is modifying, is enhancing the company, and not the person. Okay, so here we see again a very interesting combination. Now the next combination is subject plus verb plus object plus object. Here we see one subject and two objects, a number of verbs. Now if you see, sometime if you look at the sentence, it says Mariam gave her brother a present. Mariam is the subject, gave is the verb, her brother is indirect object, and a present is the direct object. So what did Mariam give? So whom did Mariam give a present to? Her brother. What did that? So again, to now who? Her brother. A present is the object, and her brother is the indirect object. So here we see, what did Mariam give? A present. Whom did she give it to? Her brother. So again, a present is called the direct object and her brother is called the indirect object. So we have seen the 5 patterns that we have seen. The first combination is subject plus verb. Second combination is subject plus verb plus object. The third combination is subject plus verb plus complement. The fourth combination is subject plus verb plus object plus complement. And the fifth is subject plus verb plus direct object plus indirect object. So these are the types of combinations. Now the question is adverbials. As we discussed the 5 components of a clause, the adverbial remains undiscussed. The adverbial answers, there are 2 or 3 words that answer certain questions, like where. Okay, where? Down the road. When? A few hours later. Slowly, with great difficulty. Why? Because it was raining. So down the road, after a few hours, with great difficulty, and because of bad weather, forms the adverbials, because it answers specific questions like where, when, how, and why. Okay. Now if you look at the 2 combinations, subject plus verb plus adverbial, just like the second combination, but it is using an adverbial. They have been living. They, subject, have been living is the verb. Okay, on their savings. So if I say they have been living, okay, and if I say how have they been living, they have been living on their savings. So on their savings becomes the adverbial. Second, subject plus verb plus object plus adverbial. Now we see the second combination coming into play with an additional adverbial. I placed the book is perfectly alright. So I placed the book. I is the subject, placed is the verb, the book is an object. So adverbial is on the table. Now remember, adverbial cannot be used singly. It has to be used within a sentence because it's a phrase. It is not a sentence. Okay. How do we differentiate between a sentence and a phrase? A phrase does not make sense. A sentence makes complete sense with all the components of grammar. Okay. Now, if we remove the adverbial, okay, if we remove the adverbial, the whole sentence will lose its meaning. How have they been living? Okay, if you don't know, you see they have been living. If you remove the adverbial, the whole sentence becomes meaningless. Now if you look at the conditions where optional adverbials are required, let us look at the sentence. Okay, the given below. He found a secret passage is perfectly correct. It is a perfect clause. Behind the fireplace. So if I don't insert behind the fireplace, the sentence is also correct. But if I say where did you find the secret passage? Behind the fireplace. So therefore an adverbial may be required, it may not be required. Okay, then the second sentence, she is usually a happy child. Usually is an adverb, and therefore, so again if you say she is a happy child, it's also correct. But if I say usually, it gives it a separate impact altogether. So therefore an adverbial can be placed in the beginning of a sentence, in the middle of a sentence, at the end of a sentence, middle of a sentence, or at the beginning of a sentence. Okay, so in the last sentence we see last week is the adverbial. Mr. and Mrs. Holt came to see us. So Mr. and Mrs. Holt is an absolutely perfect combination with no errors. But if you want to say when did they come, then you say Mr. and Mrs. Holt. They came last week. So if we move the position, okay, now if we move the position of the adverbials, we can see the effect of a sentence. Okay, now he found a secret passage behind the fireplace. That's we've discussed. Now that is in the at the end of the sentence. Now we put it in the beginning. Behind the fireplace, he found a sentence. He found a secret passage. So the meaning has changed completely. Okay, so it can be placed anywhere. Now this can be placed anywhere. Okay, depending on the focus area you want to highlight in the sentence. Then look at the last sentence. He says he behind the fireplace found a secret passage. Now we are seeing three positions of the same adverbial in the at the end, in the beginning, and in the middle. So in this way we come to understand the five components of a clause. Okay, the subject, the verb, the object, the complement, and the adverbial. So this ends our session with your clauses. And to summarize, a clause is the simplest form of a sentence. Where there is only one clause, it makes it a simple sentence. Where there is more than one clause, it becomes a compound or a complex sentence. That's more about summarizes the concept of clauses. And I hope my session has been able to understand make you understand the clauses and give you a clear understanding. However, if you have any doubts, you can please feel free to call me and clarify. And if you need any other assistance, please feel free to contact me. Thank you so much.